all their skins and they're doing all these funny dances. And again, I'm in my head, I'm like, there's no way, man, I'm not getting into all this until I see that I could buy a package where I could be a Ninja Turtle. Well,
There you go.
they got me, man. With the quickness, I bought that. I didn't ask my wife first or anything. I just spent the money immediately. So, it works.
It's time for Brands in Play, your source for all things immersive marketing. I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
And I'm Albane Prioux, Insights and Partnership Director at Giphy. This week on the show, we have Balenciaga coming back onto Fortnite. Activision is using Giphy. Still a Brainrot breaks Fortnite records. And SpongeBob IP holder turns to UEFN community to build the next big game.
And we'll be reviewing the new AirAsia branded game on Roblox. And later, I'll be sitting down with comedian, actor, writer, and avid gamer Colton Dunn to get his POV on advertising inside of games.
I'm really excited to be back after my 2 weeks holiday, so let's get started.
Welcome back. Let's get into it.
Let's go. Hello, Nick. I'm so happy to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're back.
I know,
Welcome.
I'm back.
That was
after
2 weeks.
Yes,
2 weeks
it was.
gone.
Exactly. It was a good 2 weeks. Very French of me to take 2 weeks in August. But at least I didn't take the whole month. So, I'm breaking the stereotype. But I did come back sick. So I already apologize to our listeners for my small little eyes and my broken voice and blocked nose. And our producer will do his best to remove all my sniff across the episode. But it's good to be back. What did I miss?
Well, sorry to
What's
hear
happening
that
to
you're
you?
not feeling well.
Yeah, no?
It's great to have you back. You missed a lot of great things. We had some cool guests, and
Yeah.
we soldiered on without you. But we're stoked to have you back. How was the trip?
The trip was amazing. So I just went to France, visited a few friends there as well. So nothing to report. French food is still there. The wine is still good. Weather is still great. So I feel like I'm working for the French tourism board here. But if you are in Europe, do come to France. It is a lovely country.
No doubt. I've traveled all over France myself, and I can vouch. It's amazing. People should go there.
I know there's a lot happening this week for you guys with RDC. Can you tell us a little bit more
Big
about it?
week. Yeah, we're excited. So the Roblox Developer Conference is happening today. When this airs, we will be
Yes.
at the conference. The entire Sawhorse team is going. There's like 30 of us there, so it should be really exciting. We're nominated for a few awards. We've been nominated in the past. We've never won. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, we're taking home the gold this year.
Oh, fingers crossed. With all of the awards that you guys have received in other, other competition, I really hope that this year is going to be the one.
This is the
We
one that
have,
matters.
yeah,
Out of
we
all
also
this
have.
BS behind me, like it's the one. If you can get
Exactly.
it from the Roblox Innovation Awards, that's a big deal.
I
So
agree.
we'll
I
see.
agree. And it's always a fun one. I feel like the awards at RDC is always a fun one. So I really, best of luck for you guys. And we also have Charles and Layla from our team and Sam as well from our team are going to be our RDC. So I'm sure, are you guys throwing your iconic party again this year?
That's the fourth year in a row of
Yeah.
us doing our RDC party. Yeah, it's gonna be
Okay.
a big one. So yeah, it's just we're now in the habit. We're on the hook to deliver for everybody every year.
Yeah.
So
It's one
I'm
of the
into
best
it.
parties, to be honest, at RDC. So it's a must
Thank you.
must go.
Well, we're excited to bring you that news next week. We're gonna have an entire episode dedicated to RDC. So
Yes.
get ready for that. But in the meantime, lots of interesting stuff happened last week in the news. So let's jump to it.
Let's jump to it. So first things first, we have Balenciaga that is coming back to Fortnite with Lego skins. It is, however, incredibly underwhelming. And maybe this is me attacking the brand a little bit here. But I think we pretty much are aware. If you were in like gaming, the metaverse hype back in 2021, you would have seen the collaboration of Balenciaga and Fortnite. It was pretty much everywhere. And I think this is what put Fortnite and Roblox, another UGC platform on the map, as luxury brands are going inside these new platforms to engage with communities. At the time, it was already criticized by the community for being a little bit underwhelming and not really aligned with just in general, like the codes of the community, or even like just a bit of like the funness or like the satire that you see on Fortnite with their skins. But what's really disappointing is that they've essentially just relaunched exactly the same skin. So nothing new here. The bundle is essentially launching again, so you can purchase the same exact skins. The only difference here is that they're now being converted to a Lego avatar. So as we know, you can now create Lego islands on Fortnite, and that also means that your avatar looks like a Lego avatar. So that means that you need to have skins that are compatible with this avatar, and that's what they've done. And I just find it really disappointing because one, it's also old design now. So this is based on the 21 collection. So I was checking on their website, but the hoodie is no longer available. Backpacks are not available. So none of the items that were worn by the avatar are again from the current collection. So I feel like it's even less relevant. I'm not sure if you saw anything yourself, but that was
I think I saw something on LinkedIn, but I haven't heard any buzz outside of
no,
that. And to me, I mean, that's honestly surprising because
I
they
don't.
were such a first mover in like the
Yes,
metaverse or like gaming
they were
space. I mean, those images like burned into my brain when I was first
exactly.
getting into this. It was like it was the dog face with
That's
the
right.
hoodie with the Fortnite. It was like everywhere, and they kind of like were a first mover and they made that big splash. And not only that, but they've like been on the pulse of gaming for a long time. They've created all these mini games and
They
released
did.
them in
Yes,
different places and standalone apps. And it seems like they understood or understand the culture to a certain degree. But coming back to Fortnite with the same exact thing is is underwhelming because they are such a sort of innovative brand
hmm
and sort of like an edgy brand, that can come out and do things that are out of the ordinary and push
yeah,
the envelope. And, it's like they could have done that here on Fortnite, but it seems
yeah.
like they didn't. So my my next story I'm actually really excited about. I don't think this got much coverage, but to me it's extremely interesting and I think it's a great example of immersive marketing. So Activision, to promote its new game Call of Duty 6, they partnered with Giphy to kind of create this immersive marketing campaign, and it was ultra successful. So I'll break it down and interrupt me as I go and ask
Okay,
questions because it's
I
different.
haven't seen this, so like I'm learning from scratch. Tell me all about
It's
it.
it's pretty dope. So their challenge was, this game is one of the biggest games in the world. It's been around for a long time. They have to continuously reach their audiences, and they have to kind of find a way to connect with them deeper as time goes on. Because if you think about it, it's like it's the same game. You're just releasing it updates. So how do you keep it fresh? How do you really talk to people, to fans? So they know that their audience is hard to reach because their audiences are in these gated communities, like for instance like Discord and these other places where they exist. And so the concept of like marketing more or louder to them doesn't really resonate. I think you need to get to that point where you're adding value. If you're going to be marketing or trying to speak to them, you want to give something to the community so they actually like can resonate with it and it adds value and then drives the message home even more. So, in order to connect with audiences, they leveraged one of their characters that they've done in the past, which is the Replacer. The Replacer is actually a fictitious character that they came up with for their marketing. And
Okay,
his whole job was he will replace you in your daily life so that you can go play Call of Duty. So, for instance, like he'll work your job for a day so you can play,
that's funny.
or he'll handle your life responsibilities so you can play. So, it's kind of a funny joke. But their concept was, what if the replacer replaced gifts in our daily life? So what
Okay,
Activision did is they partnered with Giphy to create 40 different gifts of the replacer doing gifts that we all use in our daily life. So a perfect example, right, is like Homer Simpson, like where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he is backing up into the
Yep.
into the bush, right? So they made a version of the replacer doing the same thing, or Leonardo DiCaprio from Great Gatsby, like raising the glass,
Oh right, okay.
So they made 40 of these like really like Giphy,
Culturally relevant gifts, yeah, that we
culturally relevant stuff, and also relevant because he's the replacer. The same concept. He's now replacing gifts. So they created all the content, they put it on Giphy, they tagged it properly. So as people were searching for things, he came up really
first.
quickly.
Oh,
And
cool.
like it was viral, the community totally recognized who it was. They knew what the joke was. They were organically sharing that to all of their friends. It got the message out in a really strong way. Obviously, went viral. And the brand saw a 7% uplift in a study they did, which is awesome. So I thought this was just really smart, really clever. And I never really considered using Giphy as like a marketing platform, but curious to get your thoughts.
I think I haven't seen it, but it sounds you're right where in the sense where it's very difficult for AAA games when they've released a game to attract new users or get them to like play again or do another mission. So I think it must be quite difficult for them outside of the traditional influencer campaigns that they often do to acquire a new user base or just get people to play again. So I feel like this is quite smart and obviously creating content where people like I think we all now communicate a lot. Either you maybe from my generation where we still communicate in GIF or you communicate in TikTok videos. Because I almost feel like now Giphy has been a little bit replaced by TikTok, where I feel like the majority of maybe what Gen Zs are sending each other is not GIFs, but it's TikTok videos of like, this is how I feel, like POV, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
But I think this is really interesting, like, and probably targeting a maybe an older audience by going with the GIF. But I thought that's really like quite smart.
What's next?
So next is still a brain rot that is breaking record, but this time on Fortnite Creative. So I spoke about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but there is a game that is based on the Italian brain rot IP called Still a Brain Rot that's on Roblox. That is owned by Dubik Studio, and they've been breaking records. They're now having more people coming onto their games than Grow a Garden. So it's a massive game. What's really new this time is that, we were talking about IP ownership and who owns these IPs. Well, the developer Farron on Fortnite has actually licensed Still a Brain Rot to Dubik Studio to recreate the exact same game, but on
Mm.
Fortnite. And what was
So
really
wait,
new,
they're not licensing like the
they're
characters.
not
They're
licensed,
licensing the
no.
game
They're
design.
licensing the game. So it's called the same thing. The mechanics, the objectives are the same. So they're essentially replicated the same game, but on Fortnite and so huge results. So they broke a record of CCU this week with 408,000 people. So there was more people on Still a Brain World on Fortnite than there were on Battle Royale. So that was again another record as well for UEFN, where
Wow.
there's always been this question on are people really playing creators map or are they coming to play battle royale? And that was like another element where we were proving that people are now shifting a little bit their behavior and coming on Fortnite, obviously I'm sure to still play battle royale, but also at that time they were playing still a brain rot. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is that I think we've always said that there was a little bit of a difference between the Fortnite and the Roblox community, but it seems that the content is starting to merge where you see the exact replica. So like for like, the same concept, the same game is being licensed on another platform and it works. And I think it kind of gives us a signal that there is maybe a larger merge or like similar community between these two. So I thought that was really cool. But what did you think? Did you see that?
Yeah, I am surprised that that game type was so successful on Fortnite because we do know that the audiences are different and they have different expectations per
That's right.
platform.
Yeah.
But the fact that the same game design can be in like the top 10 at the same time on two platforms is signaling a shift.
Exactly. And the one thing I was thinking about is whether we're going to see more brands licensing games.
Yeah, well, that's a great segue to our next story,
That's right.
which essentially is capitalizing on this concept of partnering with the community to create things as opposed to trying to build it for yourself or just hire one specific team to do it. So, this next story is all about Fortnite and how Epic Games and the creative agency Zoned have partnered to bring the SpongeBob IP to the platform. But what's different here is that traditionally Epic Games would do big partnerships with brand IP holders. They would create all the media and then they would release it and
Ye-
monetize that way. The difference here is now they're opening up that opportunity to the broader UEFN community. And what they're looking for is proposals from the top creatives that are building all of the creative islands currently to submit game designs that are leveraging the SpongeBob SquarePants IP. They're looking for fresh, authentic, and fun ways of bringing that IP to the platform. 3 different game modes they're really trying to focus on is chill and easy play, action or roguelike, and the last one is wildcard. And they essentially are have this call out for RFPs, and the winner or winners, we don't know how many they're going to choose, but each group is going to get $175,000 support, art assets, and also marketing support. And the deadline for this is September 12th. So I just think it's really interesting because I think that the organic native builders on the platform are getting more respect. What started as like people dabbling in islands now is getting more, those are growing. And now it's like how you mentioned just a second ago, they're now kind of stealing the audience from the main battle royale. And this UGC side of the platform is like strengthening. This is an indicator that Epic sees that and says, look, we can have our communities build
Mhm.
and kind of take IPs where we need to. We don't just need to do it ourselves anymore. So that's why I think this is so interesting, but curious to get your thoughts.
I think it's because I think just to clarify with the with our listeners, but we've seen Fortnite doing IP licensing like with The Walking Dead or Squid Game, where essentially you can use the IP, create your own island, and make money from it. I think what's interesting here is that I think it's probably the first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the first time where this is a request for proposal where the winner will then get paid to create this.
Yes.
And I feel like this is allowing maybe younger developers to be able to work with brands probably for the first time. And also SpongeBob is such a huge IP, and we would assume that they would have, you know, if they would have gone the traditional way, they would have gone with a really large studio, and probably those really small developers would have not been looked at. And I think there is a bit of reassurance with Epic Game being involved to make sure that that transition goes smoothly, because that's always the
Hmm.
risk when you go with a small developer that's never worked with a brand before, is the expectations around it. So I think this is really exciting, and it's obviously I love Epic's approach about this is how do we bring like a smaller part of the community that might not have the chance of winning those RFP to begin with into the conversation and get them their first project. So I think this is great, and probably more something that I would like to see other platforms doing, like share essentially the opportunities that brand can provide, but with like smaller developers. So I really like this model. I think this is I'm excited to see. I don't know if they will like the Cannes Lion, where they're gonna show the top, like I don't know if they're gonna show like the all of the RFP or the top RFP and then the winners, but I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of great ideas.
Yeah, well, I think it's really smart, and I think they, saw what happened on Roblox, which essentially is the IP holders have partnered with smaller studios to bring the games to the platform. The the Tower Simulator game,
Yeah.
SpongeBob, is one of the top games right now and performing really well. So they've seen success there, and I think they're trying to replicate it on Fortnite, which makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for the news. We're excited because I think we can jump over and speak to Colton Dunn. He's an
Yes.
actor, a comedian, an avid gamer, and curious to get his point of view. So let's go to the interview.
Let's go.
All right, so we're here today with comedian, actor, writer Colton Dunn. He's maybe best known for his role as Garrett McNeil on the hit NBC series Superstore. He also wrote, produced, and acted in one of my favorite shows, Key and Peele. And way back in 2015, I had the honor of working with Colton on a live action sketch comedy web series called Rooster Teeth Entertainment System. And beyond that, he's an avid gamer. So we're lucky to have him on the show. Colton, welcome.
What's up?
Long time, man. Long time
Yeah,
since Rooster
man.
Teeth.
It's been a long time since RTES.
Man, one of my favorite things. I don't know how you feel about it, but that has such an amazing memory in my mind.
Dude, it is great. That was a great show. That was like, what that show was? That was like an early example, and now there's been tons more since then. But of what happens when you take something really good, you put it behind a paywall.
Yeah.
And we had this really, for those people who may or may not know, Rooster Teeth was sort of like this internet community, pretty, I think one of the first, in that world, and they really focused on gaming. They created the series Red versus Blue.
Yeah.
It just built a really, really big community. And I happened to do a movie, two movies with them, called Laser Team.
Yep.
And they crowdfunded the first one, I believe on like Indiegogo, and they raised enough money to make a movie, and they just hired me as an actor. I didn't know who these guys were. And so I go down to Austin, Texas, where they were based, and I meet Bernie Burns, one of the founding members, and he's in the movie. And one of the slow-mo guys, Gavin, was in it. And we do this movie. It's super fun, and I get to meet all the Rooster Teeth people. And then they're like, "Well, would you like to do, anything with Rooster Teeth?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so kind of try to think of a couple ideas, ended up coming up with the idea of basically like a late night show for the gaming world, for video games. Linked up with Sawhorse, and we shot it out of this like tiny little studio
In Hollywood.
in Hollywood, and had a little like in studio audience. We shot sketches.
Live
We made
music.
all those sketches, dude. We made all the you know what I actually found? I was gonna try to I think I'm gonna try to put it online. It's
What'd you find?
Dronies.
Oh, Dronies. Yeah, the
You
animated one.
remember Dronies?
Yeah.
We made this show called Dronies, which was like a parody of My Little Ponies, but they were drones. They were like war
Like
drones,
military drones.
like military drones. But with like the big eyes and
That was some twisted
God,
shit, man. We're gonna show
yeah.
some Dronies clips in this episode.
Oh, great. Oh, great, great. Yeah, you gotta check out the Dronies. They were great. But, that was such a fun experience, man, and you guys crushed it, man, so it's no wonder that
Likewise.
you're
Well, it's
you got
unfortunate
blown
that
out.
that was behind the paywall and not enough people got to see it. But
Yeah.
it's whatever. We're moving on. You've done amazing
Hey.
stuff since and continue to
Oh,
grow.
I was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, yeah, like, we did great work there. You guys did great, we did great, I think it was probably more of an administrative error, and they're the ones who suffer the consequences for that. We just kept going on and doing more cool stuff.
Exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about your background and games in general. So you identify yourself as a gamer, right? Would you?
I mean, I would. It would be there are I have kids now. So, there's part of me that knows that me saying I'm a gamer is a bit of a poser because I never have any time to play games anymore. I'm still on text chains with all the guys who play, so every night I get to, while I'm running a bath or something, I get to see 4 texts come in of a bunch of people logging on to go do plunder on Call of Duty or something, and I just kind of have to look on and hope they upload some clips.
I'm in the same boat.
Till I die though, because you know what? This weekend I got some shows out east. I'm gonna get on a plane. I'm gonna fly out east, and as soon as I get in that hotel room, I'm gonna pop on my Meta goggles, and I'm gonna load up the Xbox Live app on there, and I'm gonna play games.
That's dope, man. So what are your favorite games that you play or used to play? Like if you had top 3.
Oh boy, top 3. I mean, that's a dangerous one, but look, top number 1 game, the one that got me into it, that got me playing, like, constantly day after day, especially online, was Halo. That was the first one,
Classic.
multiplayer Halo. Once that popped off, before that, it was, like, LAN parties at people's houses. We'd go, like, set up different TVs in different rooms and, be playing Halo. Uh, and then so I played Halo for years, Call of Duty, basically any first person shooter game that came out, I would try to play it. I'm
Nice.
really looking forward to playing Helldivers. I haven't had a chance to play that yet.
That does look dope. Question for you about sort of comedy inside of games in general.
Is it?
Like you're an expert in the space, you made a major impact in the professional sort of television space and film. Um, do you think AAA titles can work in comedy inside of cutscenes and inside of games properly?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, you know? I mean, Grand Theft Auto, great example, you know, there's a lot of great comedy in there. Um, you know, it really just depends on what it is, you know? Because also, like, gamers aren't sort of like a monolith. They're not all laughing at the same stuff, you know? You got different people are gonna laugh at different stuff, so I think it's tough in games to hit that broad comedy, note, you know, especially with cutscenes, because you know, honestly, I don't watch no cutscenes.
You just skip,
I
skip
ain't trying
to
to
the
watch none
action.
of that. Uh, but, you know, like, stuff like in games, like, you know, funny reactions from characters, you know, if you do certain moves, you get to hear them say a certain thing. You know, I think recently, you know, they had, Seth Rogen in Call of Duty, you could pick, you know, from the Pineapple Express content or something, and you could pick Seth Rogen, and he's saying funny stuff, you know, when he's, you know, shooting people, you know, so I think all that kinda stuff. I mean, there's definitely it's a target rich environment as far as trying to make people laugh, and having fun. You know, so I mean, definitely comedy can exist in there, but you know, like anything else, it's gotta be organic and funny always wins.
Yeah, I'm curious also about this. I don't know if you have any experience with this, but in the VR space, there's a lot of like stand-up comedy
Yeah, I
nights.
know.
Are you
Oh,
familiar with
I've
that? Have you jumped in?
oh, oh yeah. Oh, because you
Talk
know,
about
look,
that.
look, I do, I do a lot of live improv. You know, right now I tour around with Ben Schwartz. We do shows, you know, all over. I performed at Radio City Music Hall. We did the Sydney Opera House a few months ago. Um, I love performing. I love doing live performance, improv comedy. And so when I first got, you know, my Quest, the first one I got was Oculus, and now it's, you know, now it's a Quest. But one of the first things I did was, you know, go in and find a room where these guys said they were doing an improv comedy show. And I mean, it was madness. Like
Yeah.
there was no, you know, it's like there were people on stage and they're like the little floating bodies and people are yelling stuff out. People are saying, you know, inappropriate stuff. And, you know, but people are doing it, you know, end of the day, if there's a space there, people are going to try to figure out the fun ways to use it, you know. And I still think, you know, and I've talked to some of the people from the Upright Citizen Brigade Theater, have been like, you know, there's a world where you go, hey, you know, we're going to do this show once a week, and you could get some big names to come in and do like a virtual show, and I'm
In
sure
VR.
people would show up and watch. You know, you just gotta figure out and make sure that people can't just like yell out or you know, throw fireballs at the stage or some shit, you know, like, we gotta add some kinda control over the reality.
Yeah, I feel like it's an untapped space, the live
Oh,
comedy
for sure.
inside of virtual spaces, but I feel like we'll see more of it in the future, yeah?
I think we definitely will, you know, and it's also too with like a lot of this stuff, you know, I'm realizing, you know, as I'm, you know, getting older, like I'm a creative person. I love to do, you know, I want to try to get in and stuff, but sometimes it's the younger people out there who just have figured out how to use some of these platforms, you know, so it's like social media, all that stuff. You've no idea how many creative people out here in Los Angeles are trying to figure out how to do social media, how to be a content creator and how to do it. And then, you know, yeah, young kids in like Chicago or just anywhere who have figured it out, you know, just like that. So, you know, a lot of my faith is just in the kids figuring it out.
Yeah, they'll
And
lead the
I'll
way.
show they want me to come do a show, I'll show up.
Yeah, there you go. So you've been playing games for a long time. You've seen the way a lot of brands have like done advertising inside of
Oh,
games. Like,
yeah.
and this isn't foreign to most gamers at this point. So I'm
No.
curious, like, are there a few campaigns or a few brands that you remember from the past that kind of stuck with you?
You know, it's always tough with games and branding and when when it feels intrusive or you know you're being sold to and you know I definitely know like with you know like say like something like Fortnite. You know, back in the day, you know, I'm playing a lot of Halo, I'm playing a lot of Call of Duty. I wasn't really getting into Fortnite, but Fortnite just kept blowing up, getting bigger and bigger. And then so I kind of check in to see what it's doing. And pretty early on, they're like, you can get, you know, this brand has a skin and they're doing all this stuff. And I remember just being like, oh man, I don't know. I don't think I could get into all that. And I had my kids and I'm really not playing games that much. And then I come back to Call of Duty, you know, like a year later, right? And my man, Fortnite was right. They figured it out because
Yeah.
Call of Duty is doing all the same stuff. And it's like they got all their skins and they're doing all these funny dances. And again, I'm in my head, I'm like, there's no way, man, I'm not getting into all this until I see that I could buy a package where I could be a Ninja Turtle. Well,
There you go.
they got me, man. With the quickness I bought that. I didn't ask my wife first or anything. I just spent the money immediately. So, it works. Getting your brand in there everyone's going to say no, we don't like it until they see it. And a lot of times it's if the brand can get in there and you don't even realize that it's the brand, being in there, that's even better. Uh so, for me, it's sort of like one of those things that it's gonna be there. So let's have fun with it, have it be a fun thing to do, have it be an interesting thing to do, something that enhances the experience overall, and draws attention to the product that's not from the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about when advertising is done well, where it's
Yeah.
non-intrusive, it's additive, and like you said, sometimes you don't even realize it's an ad because it just fits inside of the game IP, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, cool. That's the
And that's
best
why
type
there's
of."
so many people who don't like it because they only notice the stuff that's bad.
Right.
They don't notice the stuff that's good, and so it's kinda always hard for someone to pick out a good example.
Yeah, well put. I wanna shift the conversation over for a minute to this concept of UGC, user
Mhm.
generated content, right?
Yeah.
You've in our lifetimes, we've seen sort of the rise and explosion of video, right? So all of the video platforms, the social platforms, everyone's a creator, right? We've opened that
Mhm.
floodgate up. Now we're starting to see that in gaming. Roblox is a great example. Roblox is one of the biggest games in the world right now, and that's all UGC. Fortnite, they opened up their UGC side. And now there's rumors that GTA 6 coming out in a year, whenever it's coming out,
Yeah,
uh,
sure.
yeah,
Okay.
whatever.
2 weeks.
There's rumors that it's going to have a UGC component as well. I guess what's your take on that? Should all games be open and should be people like be part of that conversation? Or a lot of AAA titles are more siloed, right? So what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't wanna put, like, a mandatory all games must be open, maybe somebody wants to create their own little game to do, but, you know, obviously, UGC is successful, right? And, like, and can add value to your game. I mean, geez, I remember like in Halo, people could build their own maps, put their maps out, and people could play on them. And sometimes, every once in a while, the a user created map would actually get integrated into the playlist that people were playing. Um, I think that's great. I mean, that helps build community. Obviously, keeps people, glued into the game, spending time on the game. Uh, but I think it just fits into what with the way the world is now. Like you want to be able to get in and explore everything about something you're excited about. So if you're able to give somebody that ability to pick up Roblox and go, "Oh man, I really love this. This is really fun. Hey, I think I had a love the idea for a game. Okay, I'll put together this game and then put it up on the great democratic Roblox
The algorithm.
Roblox front page and if it's good, it's good, and, so I think it's great. I have no issues with it. Um, and again, like, but, you and me both, we kinda grew up through this stuff, and now we're, sort of the older guys, and there's younger people coming in, and, the more and more access to creating any kind of content, I think is great.
Yeah, I love it. So now, like thinking about the POV of the creator, like you're a creator yourself, right? Like, what's that like when you partner with a brand and you do some sort of, partnership or sponsorship, right? Like, you've got your own identity, you've got the IP that you need to protect. You're still trying to sell this brand image. How do you find that balance?
Money. I mean, money's the first one where you go, obviously anytime I'm using my creativity to a brand, it's a transactional thing. Um, so that's part of it, obviously. But then as far as creatively, it's The things that I've seen work the best are when the brands are, trust the creatives to do something and to take a big chance. The times where I've seen it, not work is where their brands are like too like micromanaging, a creative person or, really telling them what they, do that, change that, do this, do that. It's like you want to have a back and forth. You want to have, uh, you know, uh, a dialogue, but it's also like you can, go use ChatGPT to make your graphic if you don't want this person's creative input or something. I don't know, but so I think it really just comes down to the communication and the collaborative effort and making it clear what that collaborative relationship is going to be at the beginning, and then respecting whatever or limited space that you're giving this creative person to deal with it. I mean, I've done stuff where I've written stuff for brands. I've done stuff where I was actor on brand stuff. I did some commercials for Aha,
Hmm.
and Aha is a sparkling water company, and like I show up to shoot that. Look, I'm an actor, but I'm also a writer, but I'm not getting too creative on set there. I'm doing the lines that they wrote that've been approved by this company. We did like Pizza Hut integrations at Superstore, which I love because I love Pizza Hut.
Pizza
But
Hut's good.
yeah, I love it. But so that was great. But you kind of know like, all right, I'm doing this in service of the brand. They're paying me X amount of money. So on my end, I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, I'm not gonna do my creative best, but I also know like, I'm not gonna swear, I'm not gonna, X, Y, and Z. And they have a reason, a story that they're trying to tell about their brand, and I need to how do I help facilitate that? So I think on both sides, the creative and on the branding side, of just having a dialogue up top, what's expected, what the goal is, and then giving each other the space and the latitude to achieve that goal.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, you said something interesting that I really responded to is that, like, the best collaborations are the ones where the brands lean in and they trust the creator, right? Because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's the creator, it's the creator's audience. So when you integrate, like, listen to them. Because I've been on both sides. I've been on sides with clients that like totally get it and they're like, I don't know, what does that dude do? Let's just speak his language. We're gonna follow that. And been on other ones where they're like, no, this is how we show up. Every time. I don't care who the influencer I'm working with is, they have to say it in this way, and it's like,
And
that's just not authentic.
it's not, and yeah, I'm sure that it was a cool idea in a room at some point where somebody thought it was cool to like be that strict. But at the end of the day, once you put it out, it's just like it's user generated content. Like you gotta let things be in the sandbox and let them get played with.
Wise words, and, that was a solid take. Appreciate that. Last question I have for you is, what advice would you give to people on marketing teams that have been tasked with this challenge of, marketing inside of games, and they don't play any games? Like, straight up. I mean, you're an expert across all this.
Well, go get an Xbox and play some games. Consider it work. Sit down for a weekend, play a little bit. You don't have to get proficient at it, but play enough of it where you can get an idea of what would be fun or what would stand out in that game, what could be interesting. Um, talk to gamers. You can go online and you can watch playthroughs of pretty much any game and listen to the person talking about it while they're playing the game. And you don't have to go in and play yourself. Um, that the one nice thing is that a lot of these gaming communities, they exist online. They're on Reddit. They're in these other places. Pop in. Do some recon. See what they're talking about. Search what people's reviews were of other integrations that were good or bad. See what people were saying about it. And ultimately, trust your instinct. Don't just go along with an idea to go along with it. speak up, and that's just sort of that's just how to just in general be a creative person, is to just trust your instinct and be confident in it, and not let other people sort of talk you out of it. uh Listen to constructive criticism, but also take big chances. If you're on a marketing team, it's tough to especially when you're having to go to products you may not have used or have ever heard of before. But the nice thing is, right in front of you, you've got a machine that can show you everybody's opinion of that product and everybody's viewpoint of it. And chances are you can get a good list of failures and successes off of that thing to at least guide you in the right direction.
Sage advice from Colton Dunn. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
Google it. Google it.
Knowledge is power. But I think we can jump over to our next segment. You jumped
Yeah,
in and played that Roblox game I told you to play, right?
I did, man. I did. Asia Air.
That's the one. All right, let's jump to real-time review. All right, so today we're doing things a little bit differently. We're doing a real-time review together with a guest, the first time we've ever done this with Colton. We're going to jump in and check out the AirAsia game on Roblox. This is a owned experience that was created by AirAsia along with the studios Object and LumiWorks, both from Malaysia. And right now, the game is not performing that amazing. There's only 18,000 visits so far, but it does have an 81% approval rating. And I would just also note that, they fall under
Okay.
the travel vertical as far as brands go. And, there hasn't been a lot of, brands inside of that vertical that have come into these platforms like Roblox. I can think of Singapore Tourism Board. Also, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government has done stuff. But outside of that, there
Okay.
hasn't been much. But Colton, you jumped in and checked out this game. What was your initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts were it was kind of trash. Look, I love the colors of everything. Little town you come into and walking around. You had very much like Main Street Disney vibes to it. It was exciting.
Yeah,
And
all
then they got a.
inspired by Southeast Asian cities, the
Oh, is
visuals.
that what that is?
Yeah, because that's
Oh,
where they
okay.
fly. The airline just flies to those
Oh,
areas
okay,
mainly.
okay, okay. Yeah, I don't know those cities too well, so I didn't pick up on the Easter eggs that I'm sure are in there. But it's beautiful. They got the mushroom. Okay, I see that. That
The
building definitely
visuals are
has the
not
little
bad.
vibe.
You gotta
Visuals look
be
great. I
art.
mean, the
Yeah,
visuals look great. I gotta say, the visuals look great. First game that I did was the Grand Prix racing game,
yeah. Can I ask you
and
about this? My initial thought was like, why is there a racing game in this
yeah,
branded airline experience? Right?
yeah.
Am I missing something, or does that make sense in
I
some
didn't
way?
quite get it. There's a flying game, which I get.
Yes.
I mean, you are flying their commercial plane into things, which which
Right?
is
I mean, that
which,
didn't
hey,
seem
like I
like.
said, you gotta make big swings. So I respect them from doing that, because a lot of brands would be like, you can't let the plane fly in anything. Uh,
You lose by crashing into a hot air
they're
balloon.
like, that should not be an option in our planes. Our planes cannot crash.
Right. No, you learn by crashing in this game, which
But,
is
I feel
bizarre.
like there is a missed opportunity, and I saw that with the racing game. One, the gaming mechanics in the racing game are a little off. The
Yeah,
reverse is not
agreed.
great. The turning is not great. But also, I was like, it's an airline. What about like, collect a baggage collecting game, or,
Mhm.
getting the right bags onto the right flight.
More relevant.
Um, more relevant, a flight attendant game where you're kind of pushing the cart up the aisle and giving out the drinks. Like, I know those don't sound as exciting, but I got to tell you, my daughter loves playing Career Simulator
Mhm.
on
On
in
Roblox.
VR.
Oh,
And on Roblox. They have it too. They have it in Roblox. That's when
yeah.
I will
Simulators work
talk to
really
her.
well.
I'll be like, what are you doing on Roblox? And she's like, I went to school. And I'm like, "What do
Right,
you
and you're
mean you
like,
went to
"Why?
school?" And
Don't
she's
you do
like,
that in
"Oh,
the
yeah,
real."
I had to go to a school, and then we had an assembly. I had to go to the assembly, and then I went to lunch." And I'm like, "What? What, this is the game you're playing?" And
They
so
love
it's like,
that.
I feel like somebody was like, we got the flying thing. We got to get a race in there. I'd say don't worry so much about that. Like there's a great opportunity to, find your gate, and it's just you going from security to the gate that you have to get to. And you got a certain amount of time and you're weaving through all the different people in the airport. I feel like there was a bit of a missed opportunity with that Grand Prix game that I feel like could have really tapped into their branding and then maybe gotten some more stuff in. How do the upgrades work? What drinks are available on the plane? You could have it
Right.
on the cart, um, so, but yeah, but hey, you know what? It is very bright. It looks good.
There you go. Yes. Another thing I did like about this game is that it has like this educational component. It's celebrating all of these unique cities and these cultures, and you can go check out
Oh,
the areas and you can learn about the food that's there. And I think that is one thing
really?
they did right, which was like that is what travel is all about. You're discovering new peoples, new foods, new things.
Okay.
Like
Where do I do that at?
there's some other area on the map where you can go explore different like restaurants that all have food from those cities or from those countries.
Oh, maybe it's over
So
at this thing that says Santan.
I think that's the one.
It says
Santan.
good
It's like a
food, good coffee, and good value.
see,
Oh yeah, check that out. Look at that.
that's actually
It's got some
relevant.
it's got some chicken rice. Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, see, I love this stuff. Oh, I
Yeah.
see. It's got like a whole little food court back here.
And then you collect all the different food items, right? It's like a scavenger hunt. So they did that
Yeah.
right. You got to give them props.
See, that's
Um,
cool, and that's sort of fun. But you know what? I just say that it's not somebody who just hopped in, and the first thing I look at, I just see Pilot Academy and Grand Prix Ride.
right. It
It's
wasn't
almost
clear to
like
you,
it
first time
wasn't
user
clear to me that there
experience.
was some more stuff that I could go do.
Yeah, that's a
Which I
flaw in
think
the
would have been
design.
helpful.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's criticize a few things. One thing I
Okay.
will say, it's a straight up ghost town. Like when I was in there, I was the only person, right? I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
there's
There's probably
nobody in
zero
here.
concurrent users, or there's one because you're playing it, Colton.
Oh,
You
okay,
are the
that's me.
user on the,
I'm the user right now?
but there's no one else in your server, right? It's just you.
No, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
There's
See,
I mean, there's these little, like, sorta NPC guys waving at me.
no, you want other players in there. So
Yeah.
that's not a great sign. And I think that one of the challenges here is that they had free UGC or free items that you could earn if you were to complete the quests and get a certain score within those 2 games that we talked about. But the way it works on Roblox is those free items, the brand has to pay a minting fee for every single one, right? So they just
Okay.
minted a certain amount, and then all the players came in and they redeemed it all, and now it's gone. So it's like I wanted to get one of those free items, but when I went in, it was already sold out. So
Oh,
that's removed the incentive for me to engage with this game, and
well,
that's a design flaw in itself.
yeah, that is a design flaw. You don't wanna do that.
Yeah. So games
I'm
that
ha
rely 100% on, free UGC and you can't afford to keep it in stock, that in itself doesn't really work. You got to find other ways to incentivize users to engage with your game. And like when you think about marketing in general, it's like you're really trying to like connect and reach out to audiences, right? And meet them where they're at. Like what better way than to actually physically in virtual space meet them and tell
Yeah,
them about the brand, right? Maybe you can be an ambassador. We can see if we can get you representing
dude,
one of these brands inside
I would
these
love it,
spaces.
man. Yeah, these guys need me to show up and everybody.
You got to get more than one CCU up in this game
Yeah.
right now. Well, I think if you had to rate this game with a grade, what's it gonna get?
Oof. I mean, look, clearly a lot of work went into it. Um, but kinda like you said, without the forward thinking of what you're gonna do after the launch, a lot of ways, a lot of that work is just gonna go unenjoyed or used. I respect them for making a flying game where you can crash the plane. Uh,
True, true.
so I'm gonna give them out of 10, I'm gonna give them a 6. I mean, they achieved what they were going for. They just could have done so much more. I feel like they could have just done a lot better. There's a
Yeah,
lot of room for improvement. It's not a complete failure. I was able to load up the game. I could
true.
see the company logo.
Yep.
You know, there was a through line and a theme, especially after you told me about the food thing. You know, right now my guy is scuba diving, it looks like. Um, so, you know, I mean, they definitely achieved it. It just feels like, yeah, they could have taken it a little step further, taken it to some new place. Uh, I'll give it a 6.
Okay. I'll give it a 5
Mhm.
because
Damn.
I agree with everything that you said. I just feel like look at it now. It's like it's just dead. And
It's
when you
dead.
build these things, you want to have some kind of ongoing engagement. So, but yeah, I agreed. They did it looks cool. They had a message. They pulled it off. It did work, right? It's just it
Yeah.
could have been better.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you, Colton, for spending the time to do this review with us and sort of like
No
do the
problem.
hands-on. And also, thanks for joining the show with the interview. We appreciate your time. And yeah, man, that was awesome.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for having me.
Okay, let's go back to the show. All right. Well, it was awesome speaking with Colton. And now we can jump over to this week's hit, miss, and bet. I know, Albane, you're covering this week. I know
Yes.
you've been thinking a lot over the past 2 weeks. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this stuff. So let's go.
Alors, my first hit, I think it's probably everyone's hits for last week. It's Gorillas and Fortnite. So Gorillas is their 25th anniversary, so it makes me feel incredibly old. But it is their 25th anniversary, and there's a lot that's happening. So they're doing a Fortnite tour in London. There's also a House of Kong exhibition also happening in London as part of that. And I think something that I thought was really great to see is that they not like there was a lot of marketing essentially that was happening around their comeback. And they also took Fortnite as a pillar of their marketing strategy in order to reach probably a new audience, but also an existing audience. So they've released this bundle of skin with the infamous character of Gorillas, and I just couldn't think of I don't know. It just made so much sense. And we were talking about this offline, but I just feel it's one of those IP. The only other IP I can think of is like Daft Punk that would have the same, I don't know, the same like excitement that you would if they were to come on Fortnite as a skin. But I just really loved that campaign, and I would recommend everyone to watch the trailer because I thought that again that was really really cool. So a big hit for me on this one.
I always love Gorillas. I always love the art direction, the music. They've been smashing it for so long.
I know
You mentioned they're doing such a big marketing campaign for this 25th anniversary. That's awesome. The fact that you can just add Fortnite on as well to that campaign is so smart, and I wish more
exactly.
brands would think about it like that.
And something I didn't mention, sorry, is that in the exhibition that's in London, there's also a whole area that's dedicated to the Fortnite collaboration. So you also have this. They really
Cool.
went to town. So I thought that was really cool. My miss is I think I spoke about it earlier, but I couldn't find a bigger disappointment from my end. But it was Balenciaga, and I just felt like it just felt really underwhelming and a bit lazy here. So maybe they were not trying to pay any attention, and no one was supposed to know that they were coming back. But it was definitely a miss for me, and I didn't see anything that hit the same as that. And then, unless there's another miss that you saw, Nick, but I'll move on to my bet.
Uh, I mean, there's always misses, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. So let's
Okay.
just we'll just
Only
give it
me
to
this week. I'm
Balenciaga this
throwing
week.
off, carrying and balancing under the bus. Everything's fine. And then my bet. So there was a really cool study that came out with universities in London that looked at essentially women in gaming. And sadly, 1,000 women were participating in the study who played mobile games in the UK. 60% of them responded that you know, they didn't identify as gamers. They played a lot of games, but they just didn't identify with the culture of gamers. And I think there's still a lot of stereotype around gaming being a male pastime. And a lot of them, 60% of them as well, mentioned that they felt shame or guilt to admit that they play mobile games. So my bet, or maybe my hope, is that we are going to see as gaming is starting it's been part of mainstream culture, but I feel like most recently we've seen a lot of gaming IP coming into different entertainment pillars with Minecraft, with The Last of Us. So I'm just hoping that there's going to be a bit of a removal of the stigma around people playing games and the fact that this is everyone plays game and there's no such thing as like a gamer. I think there's just people that enjoy different kind of games the same way as we have different kind of movies. So I'm just hoping that I think more females are going to feel less embarrassed to talk about the fact that they like games. And a bit of a anecdotal for me, but before I joined Geek, I was a gamer in the closet. So I never used to say that I was playing World of Warcraft because I feel like I was part of that 60% where I did feel shame about being a gamer, and that's never something that I felt really proud of. And then I think since joining Geek and just learning more about the industry, I've been a bit more vocal about my love for the industry. But I'm just hoping that more women that's my bet and hope, is that more women are gonna feel less embarrassed about sharing their love for specific games, but also just seeing maybe more creators, female creators, or more females in the industry, because they won't see that as just a male industry.
Yeah. Well, I second that bet. I agree. And I definitely think that we're moving in that direction. It's unfortunate and sad to see, but it's a reminder that we aren't there to like gender equality in games yet, And I think back to like when I was getting into first games, like late 80s, early 90s, it was all boys playing games and not even older people, it was mostly like children and like maybe 20 somethings, right? Now it's everybody, but it just shows how it takes so much time to change public perception into something where it's like everyone plays games and that's it. There's all kinds of different
Yeah, and
games.
I think it's probably a shift less in like because we know there's like 50-50 now in terms of who plays games. So there is a bit of an equality of who plays the game. It's more about the perception of a gamer that I think still needs to change. Where I think when you speak about a gamer to someone, they will still think a young boy that plays maybe Mario Kart in their mum's basement. And I think that has really shifted. And I think it's more that perception and the stigma around the word gamer that has to change a bit
Well,
for more females to feel embraced and included within the gaming culture or the
agreed.
gamer like name.
Yeah, agreed. But, speaking from personal experience, I also feel shame because I play Marvel Snap too much, and I think it's impacting my life, and I am ashamed. I need to lower my amount of time I play that game.
That's fine. You can say that it's research. You're like, you're in the
Yeah,
industry. That's my excuse now. This is research.
I'm working. Leave me
Yeah,
alone.
I'm working. But that is it for this week. Thank you everyone for tuning in for this one.
And a big shout out to our guest, Colton Dunn, for coming on the show. He was awesome.
I'm really excited about next one. I know that you'll be at RDC and we'll be able to unpack all of the big news that they'll announce this year. So really excited for that one.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. That's it. Edward, please read us out.
And that was Brands in Play. Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Hosted by Albane, Prioux and Nick Hill. Our show today was produced by myself, Edward, with creative direction by Joey Jada and Javed Kazmi, and audio engineering by Samran Q, as well as a massive shout out to Ben Caro. Be sure to join us every week for brand new episodes.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization.